Speaker tonight will be Andy Paultanis. He joined Toastmasters in 2010. He has earned his Competent Communicator and is now working in the Advanced Communication series. He's married with 2 sons who enjoy history and science. This evening, working from the storytelling manual with project number 1, The Folk Tale, is Andy Paultanis with Tale of the Big Bang.
The universe began, according to the 17th century Bishop James Ussher, in the year 4004 BC, on October 23rd, at precisely 9 o'clock in the morning. Every human culture has their own folk tale of creation. Now, most people in this room probably either know or believe in what we believe in called the hypothesis of the primeval atom, or as you might probably know it as the Big Bang Theory. How many people here know the man responsible for formulating this theory, the scientist who was the father of this theory? Anybody thought of the name?
Ooh, he's a Catholic bishop. He was a Catholic priest. Although it just escaped me, but.
Okay, you're on the right track.
Yeah, I know.
Most people don't know. And to me, that's very amazing. The second most popular series in PBS history was Cosmos with Carl Sagan, and as Jeff and I was talking, was one of my favorite authors. But nowhere in the series, or nowhere in this book, will you ever see his name. For some people, he was a very scary guy. His name was George Lemaitre. And George Lemaitre, as a young man, was an artillery officer for the Belgian army during World War I. And he was awarded what was the equivalent of the Silver Star for courage. After World War I, he went on to get a PhD in mathematics from Louvain University in Belgium. He was invited to study astronomy at Cambridge. He was then invited to study astronomy at Harvard Observatory, and in 1927 he completed his PhD in physics from MIT. You have to understand that at the beginning of the 20th century, actually going back to Aristotle, that everyone believed that the universe was constant, stable, and eternal. And when Einstein formulated many of his theories, he had to create what he called a cosmological constant to make this all work in his theories. In 1927, George Lemaitre began playing with Einstein's theories. The first thing he did was to throw out the cosmological constant, and he began working Einstein's theories backwards. And in 1927, he published a paper, and he was the first scientist responsible for asserting that the universe was expanding. And he went a step further, and he calculated from nebulae in the Milky Way galaxy, because in the 1920s there was only one galaxy, the Milky Way. He calculated the expansion of the universe. Today, that's known as Hubble's law. Einstein, to say the least, was not happy with Lemaitre. Einstein believed that the universe was stable and eternal. And when he met Lemaitre at a conference in 1927, he told Lemaitre to his face, "Your calculations are correct, but your physics is a domino." Lemaitre didn't care. In 1929, Edmund Hubble published a paper almost identical to Lemaitre, although Hubble had much more observational data. In the 1930s, Lemaitre got wind that Einstein was going to meet with Hubble in California, and he flew there to meet with him. Stephen Hawking said that at this meeting with Einstein, Hubble, and Lemaitre, they created the formation for the basis of cosmology and astrophysics as we know it today. And I personally believe that in that meeting, Hubble and Lemaitre slapped Einstein around. Einstein came out of the meeting saying the universe is expanding. And later on, he admitted that the cosmological constant was the biggest blunder of his career. In 1931, Lemaitre went a step further and said if the universe is expanding, it must have had a beginning. And using mathematics and physics, determined that from a tiny point, all time, space, and matter was created in a few seconds. And this was such a violent event that there would be echo radiation throughout the universe. It did not go over good in the science community. I was going to tease you with who the identity of Lemaitre was, but he was a Catholic priest. And a lot of people associated Lemaitre with being a Catholic priest, that he was trying to assert Genesis in it, but that was not the case at all. He was an accomplished scientist. In 1949, a scientist by the name of Fred Hoyle was upset with this theory. A little bit with Lemaitre, even though they were friends. And he coined the phrase, Big Bang. And that's what you hear today, the Big Bang. Now, when I hear a bang, what I hear is this. The phrase Big Bang was not a compliment. It was an insult. He was trying to make fun of Lemaitre. He was mocking Lemaitre. He hated the theory. He hated it. In 1964, two radio astronomers by the name of Ariel Canaris and Robert Wilson were able to obtain a radio telescope from Bell Labs. And they spent a year trying to calibrate this telescope, but every time they did, they kept getting this hissing noise. No matter what they did, they could not get rid of this hissing noise. And the legend goes, they even got to the point to where there were pigeons, doo-doo on the feed horn and the antenna, and they spent a month cleaning the pigeon droppings, hoping that would eliminate this hissing sound that was, because they can't do any measurements, so they figured out what this hissing sound was. Being good guys, they trapped the pigeons, and it took them 100 miles and released them. But they were homing pigeons, so they they had enough, so they did what any American would do in the early 1960s with that paper problem. The technician got a shotgun and ended the bird problem, but it didn't end the hissing problem. Again, you have to understand that these radio astronomers were not taught the Big Bang theory. They only knew what was called then the steady state theory. And in absolute desperation, they went to a guy named, his last name was, I think it was Robert Dickey. He was a professor at Columbia. And they said, you know, we got this problem that no matter where we put this feed horn, no matter where it goes, we get this hissing sound. He was familiar with the Big Bang. He said, you guys found the Big Bang. You found the echo of the Big Bang. They should have got a prize for cleaning bird doo-doo, but instead they were awarded the Nobel Prize in astronomy. In 1966, George Lemaitre lay dying in a Belgian hospital bed when his colleagues got to him and they told him they found the Big Bang echo. Every one of you has heard it. You've all heard the Big Bang echo. Anytime you turn a TV station or a radio station, you hear that static noise. 1% of that static noise is from the Big Bang echo. And they told George, they found it. Your theory is indisputable proof the Big Bang exists. And a few days later, Lemaitre died. It's not exactly a folk tale, but the moral of the maybe the story is that because Lemaitre was a Catholic priest, in many ways he has been slighted for this astounding discovery in the mathematics that he was. And that is unfortunate, Mr. Toastmaster.